Hey guys, welcome and thank you for jumping in tonight. We are delighted to have you, and I want to make sure that we are live tonight on the Facebook page. So thank you for jumping in. All of you that are joining us tonight, thank you for jumping in. We're delighted to have you so much. And so we are going to get going tonight. Let me welcome you right here. We are actually traveling on our way home. And we're excited to be here with you this evening. And I have a lot of ground that we want to cover tonight. So let me take a moment to get settled up here so that we can get situated. Sometimes it's always a challenge to do this on the road because you never know exactly what kind of setup you're going to get. But we do love the fact that we get to do this in a wonderful room tonight at our motel. They're allowing me the opportunity to share this. So please let me know when you come in, where you're joining us from, where you're watching from. That would just be amazing. And we'd love to know where you're watching from tonight. And right now, I'm really having a hard time seeing the messages. But I know you're sending them, so keep it coming. And we're going to jump right in here tonight and get going. We are tonight. I've been away from home now about 3 weeks, maybe a little bit more than that. We started out in Canada, and that was incredible. We were up there with Pastor Marcos right there at International Worship Center. It was incredible. Thank you. There's Rebecca. So thank you for jumping in, and all of the rest of you as well. And so now I'm seeing that, so that makes me feel better. And we want to get right in. Really, the main thing that I want to talk to you tonight about is what I'm calling the maple leaf letters. And we're going to be headed right back up to Canada in just a couple of weeks for one more trip to Canada before the end of the year. So we're excited about that. We look forward to sharing more with you about that. And then also, I want you to know that David's watching from Glasgow, Kentucky. So thank you, Dave. It was good to speak with you a little bit ago on the phone. And so thank you for reaching out to me. Now, a few things I want to share with you. By the way, from Canada, we went to Pensacola, spent one night, got early the next morning, and we drove to Kentucky for our Awakening Mosaic gathering right there at Florence, Kentucky, at Heritage Fellowship, Pastor Cleddy Keith, and all of the amazing family there at Florence, Kentucky. And guys, let me just go ahead and say this one more time, because we feel it every time we get in Kentucky. And that is that there's a move of God coming to Kentucky that will change the course of the land. Let me back up a little bit, because I absolutely believe I've been missing you, so bless you. I'm so glad to see you on here tonight from Iceland, and welcome, and thank you for joining us. But I wanted you to know that the move of God that we had been shown by the Lord, and we had traveled to Kentucky probably 70 or 80% of our time on the road. We spent in Kentucky for nearly 10 years because we knew there was a great revival coming to Kentucky that was going to change the course of the land. And then in February, Asbury revival broke out. And friend, I'm just telling you, since that time, it has been absolutely phenomenal what's been happening all over the world. And tonight, I really tried to put together a PowerPoint of pictures, current pictures that I wanted to show you. We were in Florence, Kentucky. That was amazing. Michael and Becky joined us from Missouri. That was incredible. And those guys have just really connected with us and us with them. And it was amazing. We love those guys out of Missouri. They're currently in Branson, Missouri. Who knows what the Lord is going to do? And then also we were joined there by our good friend, Hung, and his wife, Zona. We were so blessed to have those guys with us right there in Florence, Kentucky, as well as Solomon Davies and Frank and others that came in from Canada. And that really was a remarkable gathering. It really was a global gathering, and it was phenomenal. Here's the other thing. We also met a new man there that we'd never met in person before, by the name of Sheikha, who is planting churches in Mongolia, just north of the Russian border, south of China, right there, wedged in between the two, is the amazing, remarkable, and beautiful nation of Mongolia, planting churches there. So we're going to be partnering with him and many others to advance the cause of Christ and of this global awakening around the world. And we're super excited to be doing that. And so if you'd like to get more involved, more engaged, look, we're closing out 2023. We are beginning in 2024, and we're literally going to be launching some brand new things for our ministry. After Florence, Kentucky, we went straight over to Branson, Missouri. It was incredible. We had a weekend gathering Friday, actually Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. And you may say, well, that's kind of short. And it was, but in that time from Thursday night to Saturday at noon, actually about 1 o'clock, but during that time from Thursday night to Saturday morning, we had 5 gatherings in that time. And I think all of the leaders that were there really came away feeling like I did, that the Spirit of the Lord is doing something magnificent right in the heartland of our nation. As a matter of fact, the Lord ministered to me while we were in Branson about a heartland awakening. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be posting a Zoom. We're going to be hosting a Zoom where you can join us if you're interested in or praying for this Heartland Awakening, which will include the entire heartland of the nation, Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. It's amazing and vast heartland. And so we're just really praying and believing, connecting leaders to a cause greater than any one of us individually. So the meeting in Branson was really incredible. Just giving you an update on that. And then also this morning, we were in Springdale, Arkansas, and had a great morning. And by the way, the Lord really ministered to me some things that we're going to be connecting with leaders to really kind of press into what we heard the Lord saying and work out how we can see this vision or dream of a heartland awakening that the Lord has released to really come to pass. As a matter of fact, this morning, we saw 7 cities connecting in that heartland initially, and are really seeing this awakening spread and go forth. So we're excited about that. Richard, your friend, came from Branson, and it was just perfect timing. I think she really enjoyed it. Excuse me. I have been on the road now nearly a month. We have been Canada and all of that, and not slept in my own bed in a good while. And we are on our way home tonight. We are in Little Rock, Arkansas, and so we'll be headed on in to Pensacola bright and early in the morning. But I wanted you to know that each of these meetings, though very different, if you've not seen pictures of the Canada meeting, the last time we were there, we went to Niagara Falls. And by the way, it was interesting this morning, a man from Buffalo, New York, was visiting the church there in Arkansas. And this morning he came up to me at the end of the service and he said, look, we need to get you to Buffalo, New York, because his church has really been praying for the very same thing Pastor Marcos and Solomon and other leaders in Hamilton, Ontario have been praying for. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look at my videos that we did live from there, you will hear me say that we wanted to see a collaboration, if you will, a convergence, if you will, of leaders, a coming together of leaders, both on the Canada-U.S. side. And so the gentleman today from Buffalo said, look, I want to bring you to Buffalo. We feel like there needs to be a connection from the U.S.-Canada side and really contend for awakening in the nations. And so we're going to be doing that, and we're excited about that. The meeting this morning in Arkansas was really phenomenal. The Lord gave a lot of great revelation. And look, here's the other thing. That church is just really on fire. It's a strategically visionary church that we just believe the Lord is going to use in really great and mighty ways. It was really phenomenal. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit tonight. Really, this is why I jumped on. And by the way, I love the comments. Please keep them coming. And also, if you have any question about anything that I may say, put that there in the question area, in the message area right down there, and we'll be glad to begin to interact and address those as well. And look, here's the other thing. So many things are happening right now globally. It just is mind-blowing. A good friend of ours is in Guatemala. They just had another great crusade in Guatemala. It's amazing what the Lord is doing there. And we're going to be going to Guatemala sometime early in the year, next year, within the first quarter. We are going back to Canada. If you're watching tonight from Canada, we're going to be in Saskatchewan. We're going to be in Saskatoon right the very first week of December. And so be watching for us there. We're going to be with Pastor Terry Severson, Kim Wheeler, others, leaders. Apostle Robert Morales out of Guatemala is going to be joining us in Canada. I'm telling you, what God's going to do in Canada is going to shock the whole world. You just wait and see, I'm telling you. And so we're excited to get back up there. We're also going to be going to two other smaller towns while we're there. One is Assiniboia, and we're going to be with Pastor Bo and the church family in Assiniboia. And then we're also going to Yorkton, where we're going to have a large meeting at a church there. Also, the Full Gospel Businessmen's Association leaders and all of that will be joining us as well. So we're super excited. A lot of international travel, by the way. We are excited. We're going to start hosting some meetings right there in Pensacola, Florida. We continue to look for a great little place where we could gather. Our first gathering may be with leaders by invitation only. But look, I'm just telling you, all on the Gulf Coast, right there in Pensacola, I'm telling you, the best is yet to come. And we're excited. That's our home. That's where we live. And so we just believe that it's time that we begin to do some gatherings there, connect with the leaders, and really contend for revival and awakening right there in Pensacola. So if you're in the Pensacola area, maybe Mobile, maybe Daphne, wherever you're at in that area, please let us know, because we would love to connect with you. And I know Becky, who used to live in Pensacola, once you live in Pensacola, you just want to live in Pensacola. I don't know what to say about that. Now, I would like to share with you. So if you're in Canada, get ready the very first week of December. And then also one other thing that we'll be posting on our Facebook, that the date is pretty far out there, but I really want you to begin now to prayerfully consider whether you should join us in Pensacola, Florida, March 6th through 10. And we're going to have a global leadership summit for revival and awakening. And we're going to invite leaders to come in, join us, and we're going to have 3 or 4 days of leadership training, prayer, strategy, releasing for not just the U.S., but other nations as well. And we're going to have leaders join us by Zoom if they can't join us in person. And so you'll be hearing in that meeting in Pensacola from many different leaders in Haiti, Germany, other nations. We're going to invite them, Japan. We're going to invite them to come and minister to us as well. So much more information is coming about that. But I want to encourage you to put down in your notes now, March 6th through 10, and join us right there in Pensacola, Florida. And here's the deal. Some of y'all will still be in winter in March, and Pensacola is always a great place to get away. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to introduce to you tonight really what I'm calling the Maple Leaf Letters. Here's why. Ever since this revival came to Kentucky at Asbury in February, It has been just an absolutely a wonderful explosion, if you will, of grace and mercy released to the nations. Solomon from Canada, Hung, and his wife Zona from Malaysia, and she was born and raised in Hong Kong. When they were with us in Kentucky, we talked about that because we knew from that place that God was going to begin to release the hope of awakening to the nations. And guys, it has been remarkable. But here's what I want to do. I'm going to be offering an 8-week online course that I have entitled The Maple Leaf Letters. And in the Maple Leaf Letters, what we're going to be looking at, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to give you a little bit of an outline tonight of what we're going to be looking at for 8 weeks as we do this online class, where we really try to begin to strategically learn together what are some key principles that we can pursue to really see awakening happen in the land. And much of what I'm going to do with my journals as we travel, take notes, write things down, big and small. I'm telling you, it's just full of stuff. And by the way, this is just one journal from this year. It's now completely full. And the other one is getting that way as well. But here's what I'm telling you. So as we travel, what we do is I really try to take very copious notes about what are leaders doing? What is their attitude? How well are they working together? How well are they willing to connect outside of their typical or traditional structures or relationships? So I write a lot of things down. I take notes, and then I go back and I begin to process those, and I begin to make bullet points of things that I'm learning in that culture that may really make an impact in the long run. For example, I shared with the pastor this morning and the congregation there in Arkansas that this morning the Lord showed me 7 cities connecting in the heartland. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's cities in Arkansas, cities in Missouri, maybe Kansas, maybe Oklahoma, maybe Texas, maybe Illinois. I don't really know where, but I believe that there are going to be 7 major cities with key leaders that are going to connect. But let me tell you this. One of the things the Lord showed me this morning is I really believe that the heartland is kind of a tipping point for the nation. And so we're praying for St. Louis, Richard Jones, and so many other leaders. On our way to Branson, we stopped at Richard Jones's and Karen's house there in the St. Louis area, had a great dinner. They invited some leaders over, and we had a great gathering, great dinner. Richard Jones, by the way, is an amazing cook. But maybe it's leaders from St. Louis, maybe it's Richard. But I'm just telling you, we want to connect strategically leaders from 7 cities. And really it's based off of scripture the Lord gave us this morning from 2 Samuel and also from the book of Joshua. We'll be sharing that more. And you say, why are you telling us that right now? Well, because this morning I wrote those notes very roughly in my journal. So now I will go through and I'll begin to process those and begin to lay those out. So when we do a Heartland Awakening Zoom and we invite leaders to come on with us, we will begin to process some of that together. And but what I want to do is I want to give you an example of that as we have been going now to Canada probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 times within the last 5 or 6 months. And more trips are coming. And let me just remind, if anyone is listening that may not know, the Lord one night when I was praying over the nations really began to minister to me about Canada. And when I was asking the Lord, where is our assignment? What are we supposed to do? What nations are you really focused on? And it was like I heard the Lord say, oh, Canada, my beloved. I could hardly believe it. And then the Lord ministered to me that Canada will be a first fruits nation in this global awakening. And so we're contending for that. But look, we're outside of Canada. But I know tonight, 6 months later, I could name for you many, many, many kingdom leaders that are doing phenomenal things in Canada. And what we're trying to do is just throw some fuel on the fire and encourage them, partner with them when we can. But look, Canada, leaders in Canada are going to see Canada won. And we're excited for those leaders. And they're traveling. One of our dear pastor friends, Pastor Rodney, is ministering in Guatemala this weekend. So we love all of that. So here's what I've been doing. I've been making notes all along the way about Canada. And I got some things I want to share with you. And by the way, these are the items. I'm not going to go into all of them tonight. You'll be glad for that, because we're actually going to do this class over an 8-week period. It's going to be 8 sessions, all online, where you can join. Now, we're not broadcasting the classes live to Facebook. They're going to be only in my Zoom. And so you can text the word mobilize to that number that's on the image right there on my Facebook. You can text mobilize, and then we'll send you more information as to how to get involved in the class. And so what we're doing is, again, we're taking the information that we've written in our journal, processing it together, and learning principles that we can apply to our lives for a national and global awakening. So one of the things I want to say, so tonight we're just doing kind of the introduction, the overview of that, and I'm not going into all of these points particularly. So here's what I want to do. At the introduction, here's really what we're seeing. Here's what we're sensing in Canada. I feel like that so many times we've heard up there, welcome to the days that your ancestors, your forefathers dreamed of. Welcome to the days that those who went before you dreamed about. Now, for us, they may be traumatic. For us, they may be difficult. For us, they may be stressful. For us, they may be very earth-shaking. But I'm just telling you, forefathers and mothers longed for the days that we're now living in. Not only that, but prophets foretold them. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to begin to tie in history. We're going to begin to tie in the reality of where Canada's at in this discovery. Over the 8-week period class, we're going to have leaders join us from from Canada, to really give us an inside perspective. So the first thing I want you to know is you are blessed to be alive in the days that we are living in. These are going to be the greatest days. As a matter of fact, this weekend we're in Branson. I heard the Lord say that we've now entered the era of awe. AWE. You're getting ready to have your mind blown by all that you begin to see and hear the Lord doing. Also, as a foundation to this class, we're going to remind everyone that the Lord ministered to us 10 years ago. There's a move of God coming. No building will contain, no ministry will control. Now, here's what we're going to do in this class. The first night, we're going to begin to lay some of the prophetic revelation in place. We got to begin to lay the foundation in the first couple of classes. How are we going to do that? We're going to talk about prophetic revelation. We're going to talk about personal history. We're going to talk about prophetic insight into where Canada is now. And so we're going to begin the class by really talking about the time that the Spirit of the Lord literally began to shift my life and turn my whole world upside down. As a matter of fact, our last 25 years almost have been shaped by one encounter. When we were in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and we were there, and we had an encounter, the first ever in my life, where I literally had an open vision of the angel of strategy for global awakening. Now, you got to remember, this is 25 years ago. I was almost 2001. I was still pastoring a denominational church, wherein historically we were taught to never trust dreams or visions, or even really speak of angels. So it was not something I was given to, but I saw it. So here's what I want you to know. The vision that we had 25 years ago, almost, of this angel of awakening strategy the angel of strategy for global awakening, I want to begin to lay the foundation of that. Why? I want to remind you the day the world changed. I want to talk to you about what God was doing in Argentina at the time. Why do I want to do that? Well, because we begin to get a picture of how God moves in nations. So I also want to share with you also about the faithful witness and the leaders there in as we lay a foundation, because the call is the class is entitled the Maple Leaf Letters, because we're really celebrating what God is doing in Canada right now. But what I want you to know is the principles that we're going to learn and teach could be applied in every situation. What I'm saying is they're not unique to Canada. We're going to teach principles that could be applicable in Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, Haiti, Puerto Rico. It could be relevant. It could be applicable in India, in all of Asia, or in Europe, or Africa, or the Middle East, or in Iceland. By the way, as this, been praying for Iceland. So we're going to talk about that. That's going to be kind of laying the foundation. Also, we're going to lay the foundation of the appeal to heaven, the dream. We're going to tell you some things as the dreamer of that dream. I'm going to tell you some things that we've never really talked about publicly in the dream. But here's what I want you to know is there is right now, currently, there is a global awakening afoot. Now, the other thing we're going to begin to talk about, because we're seeing this in Canada, this will be either class number 2 or 3. And so we're going to begin to talk about really a generation ascending. Watch, listen to me. What God did at Asbury was really about Gen Z, Gen Alpha in incredible ways. But here's what I want you to know. It's not just about Asbury. It's not just about Kentucky. It's not just about, the United States. But what we're seeing is there's a generation of young people that are ascending all over the world. We want to highlight that. We want to talk about some of the principles that we learned at Asbury. Now, don't forget, I met Hong and Solomon both in the intercessory prayer room in the basement of Hughes Auditorium at Asbury University, where really we saw lived before us a master class on how to steward a global awakening. Then also, we're going to be talking in that same class about a global sending. So here's what's happening. I'm just telling you, get ready for it. Get ready. Because anytime the enemy tries to shut you down, you have to begin to look at that in the opposite spirit. So what the enemy's trying to shut down is because the Lord's about to launch something. So look, some of you have felt quarantined. Some of you have felt isolated. Some of you have felt alone. Some of you have felt like you've got no place. You don't really know where you fit anymore. You don't know where your church is. You don't know where your tribe is. You don't know where your people are. We're going to bring definition to that. And we're going to be very strategic, very honest, and very real about how we believe and we're seeing that there is a global missions movement emerging where young people will quickly and readily be sent to nations. They'll travel to nations. Then the next class, we're going to talk about, Oh, Canada, my beloved. And we're going to begin to dig into the provinces. We're going to begin to talk about specific things that are happening right there in Canada. It's about Canada, but it's not about Canada. Here's why. We're going to begin to apply principles that we're seeing there, that we're going to help you to begin to implement a strategy to pray in your city, in your nation, wherever you are in the world, however you bumped up on this. I'm just telling you, I believe that it's for a reason. So hang with us a little bit and let's see what's going to happen. I really believe that we're going to see a compelling word come out of Canada. I believe it's going to be a massive move. As a matter of fact, I've ministered every time I've been up there that I believe what the Lord's about to do in Canada is going to shock the whole world. What the Lord is about to do in Canada will shock the whole world. And so we're excited about that. And then also, we're going to be talking in that lesson about how do you harness the power of leadership. Look, one leader can do so much, but when leaders begin to connect, when leaders begin to cross-pollinate, when leaders begin to collaborate, when leaders begin to move together, then suddenly we realize that what we can accomplish is exponentially multiplied when leaders come together. So we're going to talk about how that's being done in Canada. And then we're also going to talk about some prophetic insight in Canada. We're going to share the story again about the Canadian geese right there in Florence, Kentucky. If you've ever heard that story, then you know what? Go ahead and put a note right there because it really is incredible. But the Lord ministered very strongly prophetically through that. But there have been other things happen prophetically in Canada that continues to point us. By the way, I'll just show this picture real quick. Not that anybody really cares, but this is the Canadian goose in that story that actually she let me pet her head as she was roosting on 5 eggs. And so I didn't even realize at the time that it was a Canadian goose. I didn't, but I was on the phone at that exact time with some leaders from Canada. Here's another picture. You can see me reaching down here, and the goose is on her on her nest, and I got to pet her, and it was incredible. And there were 2 of them actually. But here's the point. There are amazing things happening in the earth, and we're super excited to share them with you. We're also going to be talking about an authentic cry that we hear coming out of Canada and around the world. We're going to talk about a tampered desperation, a visionary spirit, and a co-laboring heart. Wow. Now look, that's some of the things that we're seeing in this move of God. And you may say, how do you know that, Rick, sitting there? Well, here's why. Because right now in front of me, I've got 4 journals. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 journals right here in front of me that I'm writing all the time and recording the things that we're seeing. So what are we seeing in Canada? We're seeing quality leaders coming together, an authentic cry, a tampered desperation, a visionary spirit, and a co-laboring heart. We're also going to be talking about God Heal Our Land in Hamilton. We're going to talk about the wisdom of Solomon and our good friend Solomon Davies. We're talking about a vision of hope and fire, an international hub for global awakening. And we're going to talk about the mosaic. Here's why. I'm just telling you, watch Hamilton, Ontario, and that great area, Toronto, Buffalo, even over on the U.S. side. Watch this. I'm just telling you, we're going to begin to see a tremendous hub for global awakening established right there in that area. And it's well underway already. And then we're going to talk about another incredible encounter we had in Canada. This is the image of that. This is from Hamilton, and that coin is from 1857. And it's amazing. What an incredible story. But we're gonna share that with you in this class entitled The Maple Leaf Letters. So there we're talking about falling up. Look, you've fallen down long enough. Come on. Somebody, you have beaten yourself to a pulp because you've fallen down so many times. What if you could reverse that and fall up one time? What if the Lord wanted to take your greatest failure and turn it into your greatest strength? Come on, somebody. Are y'all even with me tonight? Let's see about that. So we're gonna talk about falling up, a surprise visit at the foot of the steps, and then also a vision of past revival, 1857, and the future revival is now. Now, I could go on through. The other one we're going to talk about is Edmonton, Alberta. We're going to talk about that. And I want to talk to you more about the principles that we're seeing in Canada. And let me repeat myself, because some of you may think I'm doing it without knowing it. No, I know I'm repeating myself. But let me let you know the principles that we're learning in Kentucky, the principles that we're learning in Canada or Asia or Africa or Europe or the Middle, wherever it is, the principles are the same. So what we're trying to do is extract from our journeys the reality of these principles and then take them and apply them to any situation anywhere in the world, because leaders are incredibly similar. So in that lesson, we're going to talk about a courageous stand, a gathering of leaders, a key to Canada, hunger and fire, and the leading edge of the storm. So what I want you to know is, so we're going to be doing that. And we had a great leadership meeting when we were there in Edmonton. This is a picture from that meeting. This was just a breakfast meeting. We would later on meet out in the auditorium. These are pastors and leaders from the Edmonton, Alberta area right there in Canada. A remarkable and beautiful area. But what I'm saying is, you say, why are you taking pictures? Well, I'll tell you why I take pictures. I take pictures, and what I do is, not only do I keep journals on my phone, in my books, but I also keep it on my phone. So I go through and I outline and I highlight and I add pictures. Why do I do that? Because I want to remember because of that. And then the last thing we're going to talk about in this class, entitled The Maple Leaf Letters, is the strategy of an awakening mosaic that God has given to us for the nation, United States, state by state, and then also for the nations. And so we're going to be talking about that and getting into that. Now that sounds like a lot, don't it? But we're going to do it over an 8-week period. It's going to be a class, an online class called The Maple Leaf Letters. And if you would like to join in that, then we would love to have you join us in that class. You can do that tonight, right now. You can do that by texting the word mobilize to the number that's on the image. And the number on the image is 850-206-3795. So I want to encourage you to do that. Some have already done that. You see here is Mike. He's already texted to us mobilize, so he's going to be in. Here's another one just texted us mobilize. So people are getting into the class right now. Here's another one says mobilize. So we're excited to have you join us in the class. When you text mobilize, then we will send you information on the class, give you the information, how you link to our Zoom for the class, and that would be awesome. As a matter of fact, I just got a text from my friend Sheikha from Mongolia, who said, this is Sheikha from Mongolia. He gave me his phone number. He said, we want to connect with you again for the Work Together church planting in Mongolia. So I will be responding to him when we get out of that. And so we are super excited about that. Here's what I'm saying to you. This is a global move, and we're delighted that you are a part. So if you have more interest in the class, just mobilize, text the word mobilize to that number. It is right there on the graphic on my Facebook page. And if you're interested, then we would love to have you join us in that class. Also, be sure and put down March 6th through 10, a gathering in Pensacola, Florida. It's a global leadership summit for awakening and revival. And so please, if you're interested in that, go ahead and put the date down, mark the date, save the date. And we'll be putting out information real soon about the Global Leadership Summit right there in Pensacola, Florida. And we'd love to have you come join us for that. We look forward to going back to Saskatoon in a couple of weeks, but right now we're going to go to Pensacola, where we're going to enjoy Thanksgiving with our family. So let me just jump on. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love for you to share those right down here in the message comment. The number again is 850-206-3795. And it is right there on that graphic. Jiju, I love Jiju, man, it's shiny. 1857, brother, let's go. I want to, let's see, documentation. There you go. documenting the move of God, man. You know, part of why I do that, because years ago, a good friend of mine out of Pensacola, Florida, Pastor John Kilpatrick, who pastored Brownsville Assembly during the revival, one of the things he said to me was that every revival has a memory. And if you don't record, if you don't write the story of this move, somebody else will write it for you. And so that's why we document. By the way, this is, I believe, November 18th. It's the perfect time to go ahead and purchase your journal. I'll be purchasing mine as soon as I get home. I can't wait. It's a big deal for me every year. I will buy my first journal for 2024 when we get home, and I'm excited about that. So if you're interested in the class, just text the word mobilize. I'll put the number there in this in the chat area so you can see that. And then also remember March 6 through 10, a global leadership summit for awakening and revival in Pensacola, Florida. Come on, we come to see you all a lot. It's your turn to come to Pensacola. So the very first week of March, it's going to be warm. It's going to be beautiful. We might even do a little fishing. Who knows? But we're going to have a great time building relationships and all of that. So we're excited. We got other things we're going to be doing in 24 that are coming up real soon. So we want to keep you informed about that. Also, one of the things we had a lot of people ask us about is mentoring and walking alongside of ministers to really help strategically connect for the days that lay ahead. And so if you're interested in any kind of a mentorship program, a discipleship or a leadership thing to come alongside and walk with you as you really begin to move forward as we do together in the days ahead, then we want to do that. Liz says she wants to come to Pensacola. Nothing's stopping her. I mean, she goes to Uganda. If you can go to Uganda, you can come to Pensacola. So come on, let's go. So that's March 6 through 10. Mark your calendar, make plans now. Join us right there in Pensacola, and it will be a blast. Okay, guys, I'm going to jump off here. I had a service this morning. This will be my, I guess if I count this time right now, since Thursday night, I've done 1, 3 is 4, 5, 6. This will be my 6th time just this weekend. And so we're excited. Thanks for jumping on, and watch for updates. Follow us right here on our ministry page. A lot more updates coming that we couldn't get to right now. But bless you guys. Thanks for jumping in. And again, text the word mobilize to the number that's on there if you would like to jump into this class entitled The Maple Leaf Letters. Hey, Blake, God bless you guys. See you later.